recently, the great wise people at Instagram have decided that I should get ads from something called Palestinian Roots. And basically, it's a clothing company which makes Palestinian roots products, including hats, socks, and Palestinian-style pajamas. One of the main logo of that map that they have, of the Palestinian Roots map, is a map that is strangely akin to, almost identical, like we're twinsies, because their map of Palestine is exactly the map of Israel. So Instagram is showing the world Palestinian Roots clothing with a map of the land of Israel. The point is that this Palestinian Roots issue, which is made very physical through this line of clothing, is here to replace Israel. It's like a new kind of replacement theology. I call it replacement narrative. And we, the Jewish people, are never going to leave this place. If we're an obstacle to peace, it's because the peace that people want is not a peace, but rather to tear us into pieces or to get us out of here piecemeal. We won't let that happen. We are not an obstacle to peace for decent, non-jihadi, pro-Israel, folks that want civil rights and residency in the land of Israel. For those people, we are not obstacles to peace, and I know many Palestinians who think that way. But for those people who want to destroy Israel, we are indeed an obstacle to the destruction of Israel through the means of narrative warfare. So in conclusion, we're going to continue to be here, and we're going to be strong. We're going to do our best to find ways to give rights to minorities that live in our land. We're going to do our best to help them live an upwardly mobile life with opportunities, with decencies. But this is the land of the Jews. We are the sovereigns here. We welcome our brothers and sisters who want to live with us in peace, and those who want to make war will find that we are a fierce warrior state as well to defend our rights.
Thank you, Yishai. Malkon, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. We have like 4 or 6 minutes. How many?
Take the time you need. Take the time you need.
Thank you, Yishai. And I respect the heart that you speak with regarding your own people, of course, regardless of how much we disagree. Now, first off, you're speaking about big chunks of stuff. First, there's identity, there's history, there's heritage, there's belonging, there's staying here no matter what, there's deletion of your identity, etc. And I want to just address the very main issue. The very main issue to any hearer who knows a bit about Palestinian-Israeli conflict is the Jewish-centeredness approach. It's like any piece of land in this life, it doesn't matter who lived in it, everybody has the right to coexist in it without people claiming this is mine more or yours less. Because the planet Earth is a gift from God. And you, as a believer in God, the Creator himself said, this is not your land, but rather I am giving it to you as a gift, and you are my guest. So first, we are to co-share planet Earth, although God, yes, promised, in your opinion, this land to the Jews at some point in history. But today is to coexist, and coexistence means to respecting those who already live there. So let me give you an analogy to just explain it. If I'm walking in the street and there is a table that belongs to me, and there's 2 foreign people sitting on it, do I have the right, because it belongs to me, to go even if they don't even own it? To go and kick them out by force? Well, supposedly no, immorally, no. Let alone Palestinians living there and being there, existing there. And then when you say settlement or we coming to exist and you denying our existence, it's actually the other way around. So Jewish people were always here in Palestine, Israel, land of Canaan, the land of Judah, all of those different names throughout history. And the Palestinians didn't come and kick them out. It's rather the Zionist movement that started in the 1800s. Its premise was to, unfortunately, transfer the Arabs in order to take the land. This is spoken by Ben Gurion and the founders of the movement. So who is antagonist or aggressive in this notion? It's the historical record of your own representatives and governors throughout history, or what we call colonizers. And they were proudly to call themselves colonizers also. They said it's a colonial settler movement. To us, by the way, just to clarify something to the audience, all of Israel was founded as an illegal settlement. Illegal according, by the way, to international law, although today 78% of historic Palestine, which is what they call proper, or what is called today proper Israel, is considered legally or admitted into international community, because those who control international law are the superpowers who were biased towards you at some point, at least, like the British, the US today, etc. So, but Palestinians, when you say they deny our existence, it's us who do not have a state. It's us who do not have our existence. It's us whose our name on the map has been denied. So the main approach of, it saddens me, the main approach of Jews until today to speak to the audience is to speak as if we are the victims, we are denied identity, we are denied ancestry, we are denied history, when we are the ones who are denied all of that on the ground. Like, we're denied our name, we're denied the state, we Palestinian Christians, I'm a Palestinian Armenian Christian, people don't even know we exist. But at least the Jews are more known. And today there is people, if they ever mention any tragedy in the world, they mention the Holocaust. But they don't mention much the Armenian genocide, or the Aramaic genocide of my grandmother, or the Egyptian Copts who are being killed in Egypt, or the minorities who are being killed here. And they don't mention much, but it's very centered around Jewish tragedy in order to justify Palestinian taking over of our land, or even it's regardless of the word our land, because you use the word our a lot. I think this is the main issue. If you believe this is your land, then you're excluding the other already. But when you believe this is anyway everybody's land, every human's land, then we can coexist equally, not superiority. We're not going to coexist with you in your land because this is yours and you have more entitlement, even if everything you shared is true. I believe in the Bible, even if everything you shared is true, regardless. Whether Abraham his older son was the father of the Arabs. And according to some, even like Yehuda HaKohen and other settlers who also are voices, they say the Hebrews come from Eber, and Eber is the very grandfather, way grandfather of Abraham. And so Arabs are also Hebrews. And so this land is also ours first, actually, because we are the elder son. Now, regardless of that, Isaac was the son of the promise, and that was another discussion. But just to say, if we're speaking of ethnic belongingness, but that's shallow, because to bring it back to our human essence, peace doesn't mean a piece of land. Peace means accepting the other and compromising, loving one another, and treating each other with equal dignity and equal respect first, not coming and forcing yourselves, kicking out Palestinians, killing them, massacring us, and taking our land, removing our land, and removing our name on history on the map until today it doesn't exist. And by the way, my biggest thing is not the West Bank. The word West Bank doesn't mean much. It's the West Bank of the river. Regardless if you call it Judea, I understand you have value in the name. For me, it's about, let's call it Texas. As long as people who exist, the humans are with dignity and value, then this is it. And then they have the entitlement to define it without excluding anybody. To Jews to say Judea can exclude the Palestinians who would say it's also Palestine. So we need to find a compromise even in naming things so we don't exclude each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Malkon. Yishai, you could feel free. You can both feel free to have an open discussion now. If you want, I could give more targeted, directed questions.
Well, just a few things. First thing is I want to make it known that Malkon and I sat on a panel organized by the Bayit, and when I heard Malkon speak, I thought to myself, this guy really expresses the aspirations of Palestinians very well. And I thought to myself, he has a language that I think is fabulous, and I wanted to debate with him today and discuss with him today because I just think that he is a person, just a high-quality person, well-spoken, and I think represents really well. And so it's an honor to discuss somebody on his level, with somebody on his level. That's number one. On the other hand, the thing about Malkon is that he is also a mystery to me. You are a mystery to me, Malkon. And the reason you're a mystery to me is actually you come from some of the oldest civilizations in this region. You come from the Copts, which are one of the oldest Christian groups They even think of themselves, a lot of Copts intellectuals think of themselves as pharaonic, which means that they think themselves as pre-Christian, pre-Greek, and really coming from the real original Egyptians that make up about 10% of Egypt today. And you come also from the Armenians, which are at least a 2,600-year-old state. 2,600-year-old state. We're talking about a really ancient civilization. Armenia is today actually one of the greatest examples of an ethnic national state, where your father comes from is 98%. 98% of it, 98.1% is Armenian ethnically. And it's an ethnic national state of 3 million people. It's quite a bit bigger. It's about 30,000 square kilometers as opposed to Israel's 22,000 square kilometers. It's a small country, but it's bigger than Israel. And it's just a total ethnic national state, and a Christian one and an ancient one. Now, you come from these two ancient Christian sects, and somehow you've tied yourself to the Palestinian identity, which is an identity that barely existed 100 years ago, and has been formulated. And there's many Jordanian spokesmen and kings, and then Saudi Arabian, who all say, "Oh yeah, we totally created the Palestinian identity so that we could fight Israel. We're really pan-Arabist." And those guys on top of that are Muslims of various varieties that are persecuting the Copts today in Egypt, and of course the famous, which you mentioned, the famous Armenian genocide, which we just remembered 100 years of, and so commemorated 100 years of. And I'm amazed that you, as both a Copt and an Armenian, who have been persecuted by Islam, who have a much more ancient identification, which is much closer to the Jewish identification of an ancient people. Plus, you're Christian, which means that you recognize that a man named Jesus walked this land 2,000 years ago, and you know that he was a Jew walking in this land in a state of Judea, right, in a kingdom of Judea. In his time, it was the Second Commonwealth. And yet, with all these things that make you obviously a person who should be on the side of defending Jewish rights in this land, somehow you have come to be a defender of the Palestinian identity, which your churches, I have right here, the Maronite Church, which you are related to as well, in Bethlehem, has been subjected to the acts of vandalism and theft. Just recently, there have been 6 attempts to destroy this church, and we know the Palestinian Authority, what they do. And I guess it's sad to me that what really is sad to me is that people like Malkon, who I really respect, sadly, I think that he has come under dehimitude, which is the subjugation of minorities in this region under a violent type of form of Islam. And he has now come to defend them instead of realizing that the only place where Christians have any defense in this region is under Israel. And I'm actually, if I want to criticize my country, Israel, I would say that the greatest sadness for me in this whole debate is that Israel, the Jewish state, hasn't managed to give people like Malkon a safe identity, to be able to be like, you know what, I am an Armenian, I am a Copt, but I live in Israel, I live in the old city, and I'm not a Jew, but I'm okay with being in the Jewish state. And that, to me, the fact that Israel hasn't been able to give him a sense of safety for that identity, it saddens me, and I think it's a great loss, because we need a man like him on our side, if we can say that. With regarding to the rest of the stuff that Malkon said about equality, human rights, and everybody's equal, and it's all about love, and it's all about living together on this land and sharing, that's all fluff. That's just fluff. And the reason that's fluff is because in this region, tribal peoples own their tribal lands, control it, and make sure that nobody else comes and takes it over. They control their wells like they did in the Bible. They control their borders, and they make sure that people that don't hate them don't come into their land and try to take it away. We, the Jewish people, are a small ethnic national state defending our tribal lands. That is the way of this region. And any talk about equality and love and togetherness and share the land, that's all fluff, because at the end we have to defend ourselves. And yes, we have to give decent minorities opportunities for a life here, but we're not going to give up the sovereignty of this country. That would be the end of us. We're not going to do that, just like Armenia doesn't want to give up a piece of land to Azerbaijan recently in Nagorno up there. The conflict. They fight for what they think is theirs. I'm sure that Armenia would love to see the Ararat mountain range come back from Turkey, which was taken from them by Turkey. In an amazing occupation. So to me, I can't believe that a good man like Malkon is on the side of really the real occupiers and the real takers away of human and civil rights.